Good morning. How are you all doing this morning? You know, I have had an interesting adventure this morning, and I'm going to tell you about it just a little bit before we get ready to do the information about the second week of the pledge program. How many of you got your pledge poster last week, Let It Shine? So those are available on the new member table, on the membership table back here at the back if you did not get one, because we want you to have one for the whole 8 weeks of the program. And you can see that the awareness affirmation from last week has already been affixed to the poster, and today the theme is integrity. And so, you know, with integrity, I'm getting ready to leave to go to the ministers' gathering, the annual ministers' gathering. I'm leaving after the service today to go to SFO, to go there. It's in British Columbia, in Kelowna, which is the eastern part of British Columbia. And so I was working on the new computer. I was working on curriculum for your book study. I was working on this talk and this presentation and packing for the trip. And I felt like I really had it all together. I even got to bed on time last night. And this morning, we put the suitcases in the car. We got almost all the way here. And I said to Amanda, "You put my purple bag in the car, right?" And she said, "What purple bag?" And I said, "The bag that has everything I need for the Sunday service is at home in my office. Everything." And so she went back and she just now arrived, which is why we happen to have the right slideshow up at this moment. God bless Ceci that actually happened too, and God bless Amanda. So what I asked for this morning when we did our prayer circle before the service was that everyone know that it's all in divine right timing and action, and that I am in the flow and grounded, and that you all have a sense of humor. So that's what I was asking for this morning. And it looks like it all worked. Hallelujah. So, you know, we have a theme song now for this year's program, Let It Shine. And we had a really good time with it last week. This is a Karen Drucker song. You may not know it, but it's easy to start to pick up, and we'll have the lyrics on the screen as we do it. And so this is fast. It's kind of a country song. It's really fast, really fun. So what I want you to do is get up and move. Move to the music and start to sing along as soon as you know it. Dana, hit it. And turn it up. This is good for square dancing. I'm going to be the first on the dance floor, the first to raise my hand, the first to state my opinion, the first to take a stand. Gonna throw myself, play safe, and wait for a sign. I'm gonna throw myself out there and let my light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. I let my big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant light shine. Okay, that's the first verse. It's not hard. On Oprah and Conan, 60 Minutes and The View. They'll all be talking about me and all the things I do. I'll be the one who sets the bar, the one who's in the know. Vogue will come to me to see where fashion trends will go. 'Cause I shine, yes I shine. I let my big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant light shine. For too many years I hid my light, fearing I was too much and who I was just wasn't right. Then I heard this voice from within and up above, saying you're here to be a shining light and give and receive love. For my dreams, nothing's in my way. Carpe diem is my mantra. I practice kindness every day. I take time to connect, time to have fun. I want to know I've used up every drop before my life is done. Oh, I shine. Yes, I shine. I let my big, bright, brilliant beam. Good job, you guys. All right, now bop. Dance with your partner. Oh, come on, move. Yes, you're not Canadian. You can move. That's it. I am a many years. I lived my life fearing I was too much and who I was just wasn't right. Then I heard this voice from within and up above saying, you're here to be a shining light and give and receive love. I am a person of power, a being of grace. The life I've lives in every wrinkle on my face. I love myself so I can love you too. And I know when we're connected, there ain't nothing we can't do. So let's shine. Let's all shine. Let's let our big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant light shine. I see you shine. Yes, you shine. I see your big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant light shine. Yes, shine. Oh, I shine. I let my big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant light shine. Let's all shine. Let's let our big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant light shine. Woo! All right. That was wonderful. I am just delighted with all of you. So, you have received 2 little pieces of paper when you came in today. True? Yes. So you have one that just says integrity with a bunch of words under it, right? That is our affirmation for this morning. And the other one is a little commitment card that says, I let integrity shine through me, with a place for your name and the date. If you are willing to commit to practicing integrity this week, that doesn't mean getting it perfect, but practicing it, then I invite you to sign this and date it. Sign it so we can read it, because as you can see this morning with your program, you got a list of everybody who signed for awareness this last week. So sign for integrity and fill in your name there, and the date is 9/29/19. Hang on to that. That's going to go into the offering basket with your offering this morning. And I'm going to have you stand so we can say the affirmation together, because you're going to take this one home and stick it on your poster where it says integrity. Does this make sense to everybody right now? Yes? Anybody need a pen? Anybody missing a slip of paper? Anybody need, which one do you need? Which one? Do you need them both? You should have 2. Frank, you need 2? Frank needs 2 right here, Jay. Anybody else? Amanda needs 2, bless her heart. Give her a pen also. Amanda needs them. She's back at the back. Yeah. Who else needs slips of paper? Okay. So I'm going to invite you to stand so we can say the affirmation together. This little integrity affirmation. Truth shines through my integrity. I am trustworthy and authentic. That's it. Great. You may be seated. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. So the theme today is integrity. Shines through me. It shines through me. Emerson said that who you are speaks so loudly I can't hear what you're saying. You know, people pick up on who we are, and then when they have a little bit of experience with us, they begin to project into the future what it's going to be like based on past experience. So if they know that they can count on us, if they know that we can honor their and respect their privacy or their confidentiality or their anonymity or keep our word or do what we say we're going to do, then they can count on us the next time. Yes? And so we want to be able to live in such a way that we are completely aligned with the truth of who we are. Now, this is a little story that I think is so cute. This teacher is telling this story, and she says, we were doing a science lesson on how plants grow. And the children all got a chance to plant their own seeds. And as the teacher, I planted a few extra seeds for the children whose plants did not sprout. And after weeks of watching them, I secretly exchanged a few. The next day, one of my students said, look, teacher, it's a miracle. My plant is growing. I said, yes, watching seeds sprouting is very exciting. He answered me, no, teacher, that's not the miracle. I ate my seed and it's still growing. Now that was honest. I ate my seed and it's still growing. Yeah. So that was a measure of that little being's integrity. And integrity is a term which I understand used to be used in metallurgy for talking about the purity of a metal, the undilutedness of it, the burning off all of the dross and the impurities in it until it was whole and complete. So structural integrity is defined as referring to the quality of being whole and complete, or the state of being unimpaired. And then it goes on to say, structural integrity assessment is an approach to assess whether a structure is fit to withstand the service conditions safely and reliably throughout its predicted lifetime. Okay, whether a structure, so this could be for us a character structure, a personality structure, a values structure that is capable of withstanding the service conditions, all the ups and downs of life, safely and reliably throughout our predicted lifetime. That's when we are structurally sound. And I like this quote from, I don't know who Dieter Uchtdorf is, but he says, integrity indicates, now he's talking about our integrity, right? Wholeness or oneness, if we have integrity, we're sincere, truthful, fair, and honest. So we're talking about being wholly, purely, entirely ourselves. And one of the things about integrity is that the more that we do it, the stronger it gets. And the more that we fudge on it, anybody ever cheat on a diet? No one? Just me? I'm the only one? What? Right there? If you, then I'm breaking an agreement with myself. Not with anybody else, just with myself. And maybe that seems small, but it does kind of stick a little leak in my integrity because I'm not keeping my word to me. And so there are situations in which it seems to me that, for example, we think of fairness, honesty, authenticity, a dependability, that those things are part of our integrity, keeping our word, telling the truth, honesty. And so those things are important to me, and that's not to say I never have fudged on them, but there have been times in my life where I either chose to fudge on my integrity, or I felt like I was in a position where it made more sense to make the other choice. I'll give you a couple of little examples. When Luke was 9, he had an opportunity to go to Mexico with his class. He was the youngest one who was going. And it turned out that he had a great time, but when I took him to the airport in San Francisco and said that I had joint custody with his dad, they said, do you have a letter from his dad, who lived in Washington, saying that it's okay for him to leave the country and go on this trip? Well, his dad had even sent him stuff for the trip. I said, no, but we could call him and he could tell you. They said, no, we have to have something signed unless you have sole custody. Now, was I going to say I had sole custody when I'd already said I had joint custody? Or was I going to tell this kid now he can't go to Mexico? So I signed something that said I had sole custody. And I've never forgotten that because it bugged me so much. And one of my friends said, well, you didn't do anything dishonest because everything was in alignment for him to go except that regulation. But it still bothered me because I felt like they put me in an awkward position. Yeah, it was all their fault, right? However, when I was in college, I was in a play, and at that time my husband and I had tickets to go to the opera. On the night of the tech rehearsal is a night actors hate because it's just moving from one place to the next so that they can test the lighting cues and the sound cues and make sure they all work. So anybody could really stand there and be a body. But this was somebody's master's thesis play. And so he did not want to give me permission to be absent for the technical rehearsal. And so I said, well, I told my husband I can't go. He said, go and talk to the stage manager, the assistant director. Maybe he can figure something out for you. So I went to talk to him, and he said, well, you're right. You don't really need to be here for a technical rehearsal. I understand that Sandy's worried about it, and, but if you were sick, we would do it without you. So I got sick. That was my choice. I don't remember the opera, but I remember the guilt. I remember how I felt that I did not want to make that choice, even though I knew in my mind there was nothing logical that would throw them off in the technical rehearsal. I had agreed to be there, so I was breaking my word not just to me, but to them, to the director, and the assistant manager. The assistant director certainly must have known what I did. I still feel bad about that. So what happened with that was I chose in both those cases to do something that I did not feel was in alignment with my values, okay? So in the first case, I would probably still do that if it came to that today. In the second case, I don't know that I would. Now, what does it mean to be in integrity when a situation arises that might cause you to make a higher choice than just telling the truth? Let me give you some examples of that. Stories in the Holocaust of non-Jewish people who hid Jewish people under their floors or in various places in the house and then lied when the Nazis came to find them. Said, no, I don't know where those people went. They left town weeks ago. We don't like Jews around here. To me, that was a lie that had a higher purpose in saving those lives. People that helped with the Underground Railroad during slavery in this country. People in Rwanda who hid people during the genocide. Those things seem to me like, yep, they're lies. However, there was a higher value to be served there than simple honesty. Does that make sense? You don't have to agree with me about that. I'm just trying to make a distinction here. So I feel like when we make a choice that comes from our integrity, that really comes from our integrity, that it strengthens us. And when we come from a choice that truly betrays our integrity, that it's almost like we sprout a leak that weakens us. That's my view of it. And so in some cases, it seems to me that actual integrity with our values might be a higher truth than simple honesty in some cases. And that's up to everybody to figure out for themselves or decide for themselves. But a few interesting quotes. Oprah Winfrey says, real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody's going to know whether you did it or not. And Carla McLaren, I don't know who she is, but she said this, which I love. Leading with integrity and empathy requires vision and a connection to your deepest self. And Joseph Campbell said, I have the firm belief in this now, not only in terms of my own experience, but in knowing about the experiences of others, that when you follow your bliss, and by bliss, I mean a deep sense of being in it and doing what the push is out of your own existence, you follow that and doors will open where you would not have thought there were going to be doors and where there would not be a door for anybody else. There is something about the integrity of a life, and the world moves in and helps. That's one of my favorite quotes about the strength that grows from integrity, because it isn't just we ourselves who become stronger in the process. We enlist the energy of the universe in alignment because we are in alignment with the creative law of the universe when we're in integrity with ourselves and our own values and our own, whatever the push is that's trying to happen out of our own life. Are you with me here so far? Yes? And so there is a power in that, even when what that integrity calls for might put us in conflict with other issues in our integrity. We have to go for the highest one to align with the universe and to align with our own greater power. Zig Ziglar, who's often inspirational with people, he says, integrity gives you real freedom because you have nothing to fear since you have nothing to hide. And you know, the study guide for the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, this book that we're inviting you to join in the study guide, either with a small group or on your own, to host or join a small group or to do study guide on your own. When I was working on this last night, one of the things that Deepak Chopra says in the first chapter on the law of pure potentiality is that when we are living from that law, we are identified with the larger self, the capital S self, rather than with ego. And when we're aligned with ego, we are operating from an other reference place where we're looking for approval and control and position and power, and we only feel ourselves to be safe and valued as long as those things are in position. But as soon as that situation changes, we got to go grab it again because we're afraid of the other because of the way we're referencing it. And he says that's fear, that ego, that idea of who we are isn't the real self. The real self isn't afraid of criticism, doesn't hold itself above or below anybody else, and doesn't need to be afraid. That's the authentic integrity. It's a self-referential, and what I mean by that is capital S self. The larger self, being in alignment with the larger self, becomes so important that we're grounded in it in such a way that none of that outside stuff manages to push and pull us around. And so we can take in criticism as information or feedback, evaluate it, and put it to use or not. I was thinking on the drive down here that as an actress, I used to be so sensitive to criticism. I always wanted to be so perfect that all they could do was say, oh, that was wonderful. And so what I did in that defensiveness, in that fear, was I blocked a certain amount of my own ability to learn from the information that was being given to me. Does that make sense? Is anybody relate to that in your own life? When we get sensitive about criticism and get defensive, we put up blocks to the very information that's trying to make us better, that allows the universe to help us grow in the direction we wanted to grow. And that's what happens when we're in that other reference state rather than the true self reference state. There's a passage in the book of Malachi that says about God, he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And so these women who were in a Bible study group were a little confused by that. They wondered what it was the author meant about the character and nature of God. This will be a purifier and refiner of silver? So one of the women offered to find out more about refining silver and then get back to the group at the next meeting. So she called a local silversmith and made an appointment to observe him and watch the process. And she didn't mention the reason for her interest except she told him she was curious about how silver was refined. And so as she watched him work, the silversmith held a piece of that silver over the fire and let it heat up, and he explained to her that in order to refine it, he needed to hold that silver in the middle of the fire where the flames were the hottest to burn away all the impurities. Now, that's how criticism feels to me sometimes. And the woman thought about God letting us experience hot spots in our lives, and then she thought again about that Bible verse. He sits as a refiner and purifier of silver. And she asked the silversmith if it was true that he had to sit in front of the fire the whole time, the silver was being refined. And he said, oh yeah, he not only sat there holding the silver, but he also always had to keep his eyes on it all of the time it was in the fire, because if it was left in a moment too long, the flames would destroy it. And the woman was silent for a moment, and then she asked the silversmith, how do you know when the silver's completely refined? And he said, oh, that's easy, when I can see myself in it. So sometimes the uncomfortable, the difficulty, the fire, the despair, the whatever it is that we have to go through. And I talk about this a lot because I think it's so important in the world that we make sense out of appearances that are dire and difficult and scary and look very real to us, or we experience them as very real, to consider the possibility that that fire is offering us something, is offering us an opportunity to burn something away and get more deeply rooted in the true self by letting go of what is no longer serving or isn't needed. And that, to me, is powerful stuff. Tomorrow, oh no, not there yet. Okay. So, when we take acts with integrity, we encourage greater courage. We become stronger. When we take actions that are against our own integrity or acts of dishonesty, they drain away that strength and they increase our fear. And so we have the opportunity to refill or to lose some of the purity of that silver that we are. Tomorrow is Rosh Hashanah, Lashana Tova, to those of you who are Jewish or of the Jewish tradition or faith, which is Happy New Year, because the high holy days in the Jewish tradition begin tomorrow. This is a period of time that begins with Rosh Hashanah, the celebration of the New Year, and ends with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And the days of awe, the holy days, it is said, are when the book of life is open. And you get to write into the book of life what you want to experience in the coming year. So during this period, this number of days of the high holy days, this is when the book of life is open. You are creating for the new year during this period, and then the book of life is closed for another year. So you set it into motion during this period of time. And Yom Kippur is the time when you do a fearless moral inventory of yourself, and you atone for, you apologize for, you make reparation for, you are contrite about what you have done in the past year that is not in alignment with your own integrity, with your own truth, with your own values. So this is a period of time, this week or so, that is about coming into alignment with the true self. That's what integrity really is, that state of being whole and undivided. And so this is what we're invited into, not only in this room, because we're doing our Let It Shine program, but also with one of the major spiritual traditions in the world as they are entering the days of awe and celebrating the new year beginning tomorrow and looking toward the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, at the end. We too can use this period of time to be in alignment with that energy that's taking place in that faith tradition, to take a look at how we've done this year with our own integrity, with our own defensiveness, with our own staying in alignment with the true self, and then choosing how we want that to be this year. How we want that to be in the coming unfoldment. How do we want to grow in the true sense of being whole and undivided and in integrity with ourselves? The shofar, which Bodhi often blows when Frank is going to be on the welcome man team in the morning, he brings his and Bodhi blows either the conch shell or Bodhi has an actual shofar that he blows. I don't know how he makes sound with that thing, but he does. That's the call, the call that goes out into the world. It can be the call to prayer. It can be the call to let the infinite know, hey, I'm here, I see you, I appreciate you, I let your light shine through me. That's what I'm doing right now. And I want to close by sharing this little story with you this morning about letting light shine when it's difficult to be in integrity. An emperor in the Far East was growing old and knew it was time to choose his successor. Instead of choosing one of his assistants or one of his children, he decided on something completely different. He called all the young people in the kingdom one day together at the palace, and he said to them, "It's time for me to step down and choose the next emperor, and I've decided to choose one of you." Well, the kids were shocked, and the emperor continued, "I'm going to give each one of you a seed." Nobody ate their seed, by the way, at least as far as I know in this story. "I'm going to give each one of you a seed today, a very special seed, and I want you to plant the seed, water it, come back here 1 year from today with what you've grown from this one seed. I will then judge the plants that you bring, and I will choose the next emperor." Well, Ling was there that day, and he, like the others, received one single seed. He went home and excitedly told his mother the story, and she helped him get a pot and planting soil, and he planted the seed and he watered it very carefully. Every day he would watch the seed to see if it was growing yet. After about 3 weeks, the other youths began talking about their seeds and the plants that were beginning to grow, and Ling kept checking his seed, but nothing ever grew. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks went by. Ling felt like a failure. 6 months went by, and still there was nothing in Ling's pot. He just knew he had killed his seed. Everyone else had trees and tall plants. He had nothing. Ling didn't say anything to his friends, but he just kept waiting for his seed to grow. And a year finally went by, and all the youths of the kingdom brought all their plants to the emperor for inspection. And Ling told his mother that he wasn't going. He wasn't going to take an empty pot. But his mother said he must be honest about what had happened. So Ling felt sick to his stomach, but he knew that his mother was right. And so he took his empty pot to the palace. And when he arrived, he was amazed at the variety of plants grown by the other kids. They were beautiful, all shapes, all sizes. Ling put his empty pot on the floor, and many of the other kids laughed at him. A few felt sorry for him and just said, "Hey, nice try." When the emperor arrived, he surveyed the room, and he greeted all the young people, and Ling tried to hide in the back. "My, what great plants and flowers you've grown," said the emperor. "Today, one of you will be appointed the next emperor." And then the emperor spotted Ling at the back of the room with his empty pot, and he ordered the guards to bring him to the front. Ling was terrified. "The emperor knows I'm a failure. Maybe he'll have me executed." And when Ling got to the front, the emperor asked his name. "My name is Ling," he replied. All the kids were laughing now at him up there with this empty pot. And the emperor asked everyone to quiet down. He looked at Ling, and then he announced to the crowd, "Behold your new emperor. His name is Ling." Well, Ling couldn't believe it. He couldn't even grow a seed. How could he possibly be the new emperor? And then the emperor said, "1 year ago today, I gave everyone here a single seed. I told you to take the seed, plant it, water it, and bring it back to me today. But I gave you all boiled seeds which would not grow. All of you, except Ling, have brought me trees and plants and flowers. When you found that your seed would not grow, you substituted another seed for the one I gave you. Ling was the only one with the courage and honesty to bring me a pot with my seed in it. Therefore, he is the one who will be the new emperor. This was a reward he could not have dreamed of, that what he thought was a failure was exactly what was necessary to reveal his character and the truth of who he was, his authenticity, his integrity, his worthiness. And when we stand in that place with only ourselves and our truth is when we stand the tallest. So today, we let integrity shine through us. Let this be a week in which, when you look back over this year, you see the places where your integrity has been solid and where it hasn't, and you choose for this coming year to enter into the book of life the strength of your inner, undiluted, whole, pure self. Namaste.